About 35 years ago, well, let me tell you a different story. Back in 1998, my family experienced a terrible tragedy in our lives that changed the trajectory of our lives forever. My wife and I, her father suffered from a debilitating disease, which many of you probably are familiar with. It's a dreaded disease, diabetes. He was frustrated. He was at his wit's end, and he was in a critical position. And we were in a position where we were looking for help. We eventually found some help. I think Robert alluded to where he works at Wildwood, and he shared some of the miracles that he's been going through. And we experienced a miracle in our lives that allowed us to put us in a position to look at life differently. And we've never looked back since then. And since we went to Wildwood, and my wife and I studied there for several years. We worked there for several years. And we discovered that the information that was taught there needed to be spread out. It was powerful. It was powerful. And fortunately, an organization called LIGHT, which I have here, which is an acronym for the Lay Institute for Global Health Training, recognized the need for taking the message, that what we call a health message, health evangelism, out to people who are not able to come to Wildwood. Does that make sense? And so I jumped on this bandwagon, and I loved it, and I've been sharing this message with people all over the world, and it's all online. It was designed for busy people who don't have time to leave work or leave their job for a year to go and study, and we have a condensed version which will get you started working for the Lord. We believe that that this message needs to be utilized by whatever media, whatever format we can utilize that the Lord has blessed us with. And so that's what we're about. And I'd like to share a few things with you as we see here. If you can just sort of, it's small, the screen is small here, but I have images that would help enhance what I'm about to share with you. Is that okay? So feel free if you need to come a little closer. That's the Lay Institute for Global Health Training. Out of this, my wife and I ventured out into our own ministry, but we do utilize the services of LIGHT. We have broadened what we do by actually traveling to places and making presentations, doing health trainings. And we created a 501c3 organization called HEART. Again, you have to have you have to have an acronym, right? And it's HEART, Health Education and Religious Training. Get it? HEART. So it's Heart Services International. And it's basically God's healing program, promoting health and wellness and restoration. Of course, pointing individuals, men and women, to the great physician himself, Jesus Christ. And I love the theme that has been given to us. What's the theme for today?
Our greatest need.
Our greatest need. And our greatest need is to have the what? We've been talking about this morning, is to have the mind of Christ. Amen. The mind of Christ. And when we think of the mind of Christ, when we reflect upon who Jesus Christ himself was and the work that he did, we see that when he was here on earth, he actually did more healing than he did preaching. We see Jesus walking through the streets and healing and teaching, and he preached on occasion, if need be. And so we have adapted that principle of the mind of Christ. Yes?
What was the name of your ministry again?
HEART, H-E-A-R-T, Heart Services International. And I'd like to make it a little easy for you. When you get on our next break, simply come over here. If you'd like to learn more about what we do, I have 2 QR codes right here. In fact, if you use your phone and link onto the QR code, I will send you a gift, a $200 hotel savings card. It's just a gift. You may or may not be able to use it. Now, it doesn't take $200 off of your hotel, but you get discounts up to $200 off of a variety of hotel stays. Does that make sense? Just something that we have access to and we make available to you. So that's a gift. If you can use it, that's great. But I would like you, can you either use this QR code or this QR code, either one, and just tell me where to send it. You'll get it, and then you'll learn more about what we do. One of the objectives that I have here today is I recognize that many people would be, if you look at the screen here, many people would be willing to work if they were taught how to begin. That's from the book Ministry of Healing, page 148. And I am a testimony to that. I have, over the years, studied and wanted to know things, but just did not know how to go out and share. Having information and passing it on and relating to others are two different things. So we have organized a program, an online course, where we will help train you. You do it at your own pace. It's all online. And I will my wife and I will coach you through the process. And we will open opportunities for you to minister. The first thing that our intention is for you to make a change in your own life. And I think that's been made clear all through our sessions this morning. That we start with our own lives, the changes that we experience, the changes that we need in our walk with Jesus Christ. Make sure that it's solid. And as we progress through that, then how can I reach my home? How can I reach my church? How can I reach my community? And how can you become a missionary? Like our brothers have talked about, it becomes a lifestyle. So you will hear the expression, the term used, lifestyle medicine, lifestyle training, lifestyle, whatever it is. It's really pointing to, in this environment that we're talking about, when we're talking about health evangelism, is making a change in the things you used to do to what God wants you to do now. Does that make sense? And so allow me to dwell on the story that changed my life. I'll tell you really briefly. My father-in-law came to the point where, because of diabetes, he was about to lose his leg. They wanted to amputate his leg above his knee. I was with him. By the way, I'm a nurse by profession, and we were working at a hospital in Florida. And I went with him to the clinic, and he said, well, "You're not going home." He's going to call the operating room to take his leg off above the knee because he already had an amputation of his toe. It would not heal. It got infected, looked terrible. Then they amputated across the metatarsus, right across the toes there, removed all the toes, and it would not heal. And that's something, if you're familiar with diabetes at all, it makes it very difficult for wounds to heal. Poor circulation. He got very angry. Now, my wife and I, being in the medical profession, recognize that this is what we're taught, this is what you do to save a life. I reasoned with him. I explained to him that we loved him. He wanted nothing to do with it. You see, he was a very outdoor man, and his living was made working outdoors, and he needed both legs to do that. And he became very discouraged, very depressed, and was very angry. And then we discovered Wildwood. And when he went there, to make the long story short, he died about 2 or 3 years ago at the ripe old age of 80-something years old. And he had both his legs when he died. And he was able to reverse the disease process. So that changed our lives. And we have been on a mission, not only for diabetes, but we recognize that there is a myriad of diseases that go along with a metabolic syndrome. A metabolic syndrome includes things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, triglycerides, diabetes, and a few other things. And if you only have one of these things, it could be detrimental to your life. But to have what they call metabolic syndrome, you have to have about 3 of those. Most people, once you're in that direction, end up with at least 3 of those diseases. And there are about, the last statistics that I saw was that there were about 70 to 80% of people in the United States who have one form or another of metabolic syndrome. All right, so with that, I'm going to share what I'm sharing today. I want you to understand, look at it. My objective is to inspire you, to help you to recognize that you too can make a difference in somebody's life. As I look around at the audience today, I detect that most of us here know more than, I'm just throwing numbers out, that more than 80% of the population that we interact with. I'm just throwing numbers out, just so you get the idea. So we are already ahead of the game. But how do we use this experience to share the love of Jesus Christ? We can do it through what I call health evangelism. So please be sure to see how we can provide you with resources by clicking on the QR code. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of what I learned on this journey with my father-in-law. Is that okay, everybody? I discovered a term that I've heard of but never really understood. It's called insulin resistance. You've probably heard that term somewhere along your journey of life. It is a known cause of diabetes. Now, if we listen carefully here. This is so. I'm going to use the vernacular that my children use. It's so cool. Is that okay? It's so cool because if we understand insulin resistance, then we intuitively understand how to reverse a dreaded disease, which is diabetes. Now, as I refer to diabetes, there are several factors or types of diabetes, but in particular, the two main forms of diabetes are type 1 and type 2. I'm going to be, for the sake of this conversation, addressing type 2 diabetes. Is that okay? It affects 90% of the population, whereas type 1 diabetes affects 10% of the population. And it's a little bit more challenging to deal with that, dealing with injury to the pancreas. However, type 2 diabetes, they say here again too, statistically speaking, that 80% of the U.S. population are insulin resistant. Now, not necessarily diabetic. It may lead to diabetes, but they're not diabetic. But the numbers for what they project for diabetics currently is 3 to 1. In the U.S. population, and they project that number to get worse in the coming years. They're projected in the next 10 years, next 20 years, and next 30 years, and it is exponential growth of type 2 diabetes. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because it opens doors for you and I to have information that the world needs. And if you can help somebody solve a problem, I've heard it multiple times here, where if you, what is the theme? What is the theme that we're talking about?
Our greatest need.
Our greatest need. Our greatest need is to have the love of Jesus or the mind of Jesus. And this is what Jesus did. He met people where they are, found their need, and assisted them. Now, if 80% of the population have insulin resistance, most of them aren't aware of it, but do you think you could find somebody to help to share with you what I'm showing you today? Absolutely, absolutely. So, all of this insulin resistance happens at the cellular level. I want to help you grasp that concept. Insulin resistance happens where, everybody?
Cellular.
At the cellular level. So keep that in mind. We're going to refer to that a little bit. Insulin resistance has to do where your energy intake is greater than your energy spent. I'm taking in more energy in the form of calories than the calories that I'm burning. Are you following me? This leads to insulin resistance. Now, hang in there with me. I learned, this was all very informative to me, but insulin resistance has many side effects or symptoms. That's the word I'm looking for. Some of the symptoms of insulin resistance are abdominal obesity, fatigue, migrating aches and pains, increased fat storage, polycystic ovarian syndrome, high blood pressure, constant hunger, low thyroid, high cholesterol and triglycerides, hormone imbalance, inability to lose weight, cravings for sweets, cravings for sugars. Now, some of you may or may not be able to identify maybe one or two of these, maybe. And there is a possibility that you too, or myself, are dealing with, what everybody? Insulin resistance. Are you following? Do you see how wide your audience is for you to minister to? First of all, we need to minister to who? Ourselves, right? Make sure that we overcome this. All right, I'm setting the stage here just for you to understand And we're not going to dig really deep into this. I'm giving you an overview so that you can recognize that, wait a minute, if I understand insulin resistance, I can break the cycle of diabetes. I can break the cycle of high cholesterol. I can break the cycle of obesity. A lot of these things we can help people with, right? High blood pressure is a big one. Now, how diabetes progresses? Well, first of all, it starts with the Standard American Diet. And if you think of that, what's the acronym for Standard American Diet? SAD, SAD. The SAD diet, and so how true that is. Why do we say that? Typically speaking, the Standard American Diet is filled with high in refined carbohydrates, high in saturated fats and trans fats. It's low in fiber. It's also low in vitamins and minerals, and it's low in the antioxidants and the phytochemicals that serve so well with providing us with health and wellness. That is. And so we're looking at the how diabetes progresses. Now, here we have the Standard American Diet, SAD. Follow carefully with me. I don't want to confuse you on this, so just follow me as I go step by step. It's designed to make sense for you and put the picture together. But if you get distracted with your phone rings and you look off and you miss a point, you're going to miss the whole thing. So silence your phones and just follow carefully, okay? Now, when we have the typical diet of the American lifestyle, it has the tendency, because of the high fat and the high fat content, to cause us to have high blood sugar. The pancreas is working, recognizes it needs to produce more insulin, so our insulin levels go up. But we also have the tendency to feel lethargic. We become tired. Have you ever noticed that with a high-fat diet, individuals become lethargic? And when you become lethargic, let me ask you this question. Will you be more actively involved or will you be less actively involved? Less active, right? So when you're with less activity, what typically happens if you're eating and you're not being active? You're going to gain weight. Are you with me? You're going to gain weight. Now we need to understand insulin is a hormone, but it's a special type of hormone. It is a fat storage hormone. What type of hormone is insulin? It is a fat storage hormone. Say that with me, everybody. It is a fat storage hormone. Now think of that. It's storing what? It's storing fat. Alright? Now, we need fat, don't get me wrong. But the problem comes when we have an excessive amount of fat. Yes?
Well, what causes insulin resistance in a person who eats a plant-based diet and low fat?
The question is, what causes insulin resistance in a person who eats a plant-based diet? There are several factors involved in that, because did you know that you could be a plant-based diet person and be more unhealthy than somebody that's not on a plant-based diet? Okay, that's a whole other avenue, because we think, let me ask you this, when I pick up a Kit Kat or a soda, is that plant-based or does that have meat? Alright, okay. And when I eat a plant-based, when I eat my plant-based diet, I came home from work and I'm very busy. I was busy. I didn't have time for lunch, Ellen. Get home 6:30 to 8 o'clock at night, and I fix this big meal and I have a nice plant-based diet. A nice plant-based diet. I mean, healthy and luscious, and it's just a nice plant-based. You get the idea. And then I sit down and watch television and I fall asleep on the couch. There are several factors involved, okay? So we're not going to go in that direction, but I want you to understand that just because you're a plant-based Christian doesn't mean that you have a healthy lifestyle, all right? So it's involved, all right? And we're going to go through that with the QR code here. So there's a lot to it. It's a very good question. In fact, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that.
I watched my father-in-law die of complications of type 2 diabetes.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Absolutely. I see it all the time. Being a plant-based diet,
Bread and cookies can be plant-based.
right. So being on a plant-based diet is not the answer. Knowing what a healthy diet is much more important. Yes?
Don't forget to factor stress in there, because high blood sugar is a stress response. And anytime you've got a stress situation, you're going to have high blood sugar regardless of the diet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Stress is a killer. My wife, by the way, my wife was supposed to be here with me today. And thanks for bringing that point up, because it triggered what I should have said, and I apologize to my wife if you're watching after this is recorded. Yesterday she spoke at another presentation with a group at another convention, and she talked about stress. And stress, one of the things she pointed out was, and she showed why, but stress is a killer. Okay, stress is a killer and brings on all sorts of diseases. And so on our way home, we discovered that one of our family members, not family members, a very good friend of the family, was in the hospital, had a traumatic injury, accident, and was on life support the day before. She's off now. But we stopped by there. We found out what the family needed. The family is distraught. So she went home, found out what the needs were. This morning, she was up at 4 o'clock cooking and preparing a meal. Now she's taking it over to them probably any time now for them to have a meal, just to be with the family. Does that make sense? So on behalf of my wife, I'm apologizing for her not being here. But that's the reason why. All right, excellent points. Okay, now I'm glad you guys interrupted me, or else I'd be in big trouble. All right, now, when your insulin level goes up, we said it's a fat storage hormone, but insulin also makes you feel hungry. Have you ever heard that? And people who are taking insulin shots seem to put on weight. You probably heard that too. And the thing is, it makes you hungry. Now, if you're hungry, what are you going to do? You're going to eat. Now, when you start overeating, especially if it's of the same diet, then what's going to happen to your blood sugar? It's going to go up, and then what happens now? The pancreas is recognizing more food is coming in, it needs to work. Beautiful pancreas, God designed us excellent. Just everything just smooth, it goes smoothly. More food intake, I need more insulin. The insulin level goes up, and then because of the diet, high fat, whatever it is, we become lethargic, less activity, and what happens to your weight? Your weight is going up. All right, so the cycle continues. Now I'm just giving you an idea of the cycle here. Let's take a look here. Now, what happens is this: with increased weight gain, and I know I'm going to be this. By the way, out of what we learned from our my father-in-law's situation, we actually created a course that will take you from day one all the way through a process, so that you can overcome type 2 diabetes. It's an online course too, in conjunction with this, 2 separate programs, but we have made an entire course where we explain this in detail. I'm just giving you an overview of some of the things that I learned and showing you how you can learn it and take it and use it. So the insulin resistance that I mentioned earlier comes from increased weight, where the cells at the cellular level become clogged up, so the insulin cannot take the sugar into the cells where it belongs, where it works, where it gives you energy. Are you with me? All right. So the increased weight gain causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance means that the insulin that the pancreas has produced, which you need, it's resistant. It cannot get into the cell. Are you with me? It cannot get into the cell. So if it's not in the cell where the insulin belongs, there are only 2 places that it can be. In the cell, taking the sugar in from the food that you've eaten, or it floats around in the bloodstream. That's why when you check your blood sugar level, go to the doctor or a clinic and they take a little prick and they see how much sugar you have in your blood. If there's a lot of sugar, if your sugar level is high, that means it's not going to the cell where it belongs. It's floating around, and that's where a lot of the damage comes, because the sugar it really acts on the cardiovascular system, damages in the blood vessels. Making sense so far? Okay. So we have insulin resistance causing, since it's resistance now, our blood sugar level goes up. It goes higher, and the cycle continues. Now let's take a look at some other things that happen here. Weight gain, when your body starts to put on fat, it causes an inflammatory process. because your body's defense mechanism is trying to protect you. So there's an inflammatory process which takes place. That inflammatory process triggers your blood sugar to go up even more. So the process continues. Now, after a while of with the high insulin level, remember I told you the pancreas is producing more insulin, right? And as the cycle continues, when it on a prolonged or a chronic state through 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, most diabetes is recognized approximately 15 years before the disease process started. So it's chronic. It's a chronic disease. By the time you are diagnosed with diabetes, anywhere from 13 to 15 years of the damage of the process has already occurred. Does that make sense? With that, the pancreas becomes fatigued. And it's been producing all of this insulin. Now it's so tired and worn out, it is not able, the beta cells which produced the insulin become damaged or fatigued, let me use that word, and it's not able to produce the amount of insulin that it used to produce. So what happens here, because of the pancreatic fatigue, it's producing less insulin, and if it's producing even less insulin, what's going to happen to your blood sugar? It's going to continue to go up. Do you see the vicious cycle that we've gotten ourselves into? So when that happens here, let's see what my next slide is here. So that's the process there. But there's another component with increased weight gain in your fat cells. There is a hormone called leptin. Now leptin is designed to tell you when to stop eating. It's a hormone, but it lets you know when you need to, it triggers your mind to say, no more food, you're satisfied. When you have leptin resistance, similar to insulin resistance, then the individual is no longer getting that trigger that they should be satisfied, so they keep eating more. You see the vicious cycle? So, vicious cycle getting even worse. Many people will tell you, and maybe some of us here have experienced this. I know over the years, you may not realize it, but I've lost my brother. Who was it? My brother said that he needed to read Ministry of Healing a little bit more, but I too lost about 30 pounds of excess weight. I'm small by frame. My frame is small, so my weight to me seemed good, but at 160, that was too much for my small frame. So I've lost some weight also, so I know the feeling. But the thing is, when you have leptin resistance, you don't know when to stop, and you just keep eating and eating and eating. So a lot of these people that tell you that they're hungry, they really feel hungry, and it's very, very difficult to go against that feeling, that sensation. So leptin resistance, and that causes us to again to continue with the process of eating more. So that's how the diabetes progresses. Let me just put this out here so I can watch my time. Okay. Now, I actually talked about it here. I talked about it enough there, so we'll just go over it here. Okay. So with leptin resistance, what that also does, it causes our metabolism to slow down. You're familiar with metabolism. When you watch the kids running around, and some people can eat so much and they never seem to put on an ounce. You look at food and you put on weight, right? But your metabolism slows down. When your metabolic rate decreases, what do you think happens to your weight? You're still eating the same amount of food, you're still hungry, so you're going to put on more weight. All right. So how do we break that cycle? That's the question. How do we break that cycle? I'm going to just touch on a few things that will help you to kind of see that, wait a minute, I can break this cycle. I can teach somebody how to do it. Some of the things that I usually, when I'm teaching on diabetes reversal, I'll explain why it works. we don't have the time to go into why every single thing works. But some of the things that I usually, when I'm teaching on diabetes reversal, I'll explain why it works. we don't have the time to go into why every single thing works. But for today, it works. Does that make sense? And you'll see why. Because one of the factors is the high-fat diet. So just thinking about that, how do I break that cycle? What you're going to do? Cut out a high-fat diet, right? If I'm overweight, I'm going to do what? I need to exercise, things of that nature, right? And there's evidence, everything that I do is evidence-based, so that you can see that the science matches with what we're saying. Now, I will put a plug in here. And I'll be careful with what I say, but I have no regrets with what I'm saying. Even if we don't have evidence, scientific evidence, to back up what the Lord has given us, that settles it for me. All right? It's just a nice thing that science is catching up to what we've been teaching for over 180 years. Does that make sense? All right. So I have no regrets with that. Absolutely. But it's nice to be able to show individuals that. So breaking the cycle, reversing the type 2 diabetes cycle. And these are just some slides that I grabbed out of the course that we teach. So exercise. Exercise is a key component, but it comes with bonuses. It comes with benefits. And I'm going to look at some of the benefits. Some of the benefits is, and again, all evidence-based. It adds years to your life and life to your years. Exercise. And as my sister said, I want to just touch on what you said, because that was a very solid question, and it's a true concern. What's that?
I quit exercising the
Yeah.
This is making it worse though.
Well, exercise is so important. I teach it, my wife teaches it, and from time to time we have to remind ourselves to make the time to exercise. Because we fall into the busyness of life. We're behind our computers, we're sitting at a desk, we're talking to people. Like here, I'm standing up here, but we're here all day, sitting down all day. We'll go and eat lunch, we'll come back and we'll sit again. We have to strategically or intentionally plan every single day of our lives to have a balance, to incorporate exercise, make time for exercise. On top of that, we need to know when to exercise. For example, after a meal, you don't want to exercise, but the worst thing that you can do is sit down after a meal. You need to walk. We call it a digestive walk. If you've been around the people at Wildwood, you recognize some of their terminology. It becomes the digestive walk. All right. So when you eat and you sit, the body detects that you're not burning energy, so the pancreas pulls back on its insulin production because you don't need it. But the food is there, it's creating or being converted to fat. Does that make sense? So we need to incorporate an understanding of physiology with healthful living. So anyway, exercise boosts your energy levels, it improves our mood. People who exercise have fewer depressive symptoms. They are less likely to develop major depressive disorders. And check this out. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain. Now, we could talk about that for the rest of the day with dementia and ability to recall and think and to reason. We could go on for that. But exercise is important. I would like to share a tip with you for busy people like yourselves. How would you like it if you could find a way to do an hour's worth of exercise in maybe 20 minutes? Would you like that? Well, the studies have come in, and the results show that this new term, HIIT, H-I-I-T, high intensity interval training, will help you to get a lot more accomplished in a shorter time. Let me try and share that with you. And again, this is evidence-based from evidence-based articles. Talk with your doctor first before any exercise, and I'm going to share a disclaimer with you, and I must do this because of the work that my wife and I do. We're not your doctors, we're not giving prescriptions, we're not telling you what to do, but this program is for educational purposes only. It does not take the place of your doctor's advice. You are responsible for going to your doctor, for letting them work with you to manage your medications based on your particular set of symptoms. Before you adopt any of the principles presented here, please talk to your doctor. Why? Tell them you are working to change your lifestyle, to increase your exercise, to make dietary changes, to reverse your diabetes and get their approval. changes in your activity level or diet may impact the medications that you are taking. Keep your doctor informed of what you are doing. We have discovered that people who implement what we're sharing and are diabetic will have to reduce the amount of medication they're taking. If they do not reduce that, they are quite likely, they're setting themselves up for the potential of going into a hypoglycemia. All right? So, and that again is not good. Where your blood sugar drops too low, you'll end up passing out, and it can bring consequences. So we work closely with your own primary care physician. All the writing. So, HIIT, or interval training, compared to treadmills and hour-long aerobics classes, you're going to hear the word HIIT, intermittent training, burst exercising, burst training. It's talking about one and the same thing. Burst training helps you burn fat more efficiently and quickly. So here's a bonus, right? You're burning it more quickly, you're burning it more efficiently, and it has 9 times greater effect. Wow, 9 times greater effect. That's great. Now let's see, but you have to build up to it. I'm going to share with you what it is. It's vigorous exercise for 20 seconds to 60 seconds. Now, you think about that, 20 seconds, it seems like 20 seconds, that's not a whole lot. But the exercise that we're talking about, whatever that vigorous activity is, you try and maintain that for 20 seconds to your maximum ability. It could be running up a hill, it could be jogging in place, whatever you're capable of doing, but whatever you can do physically to your maximum ability for 20 seconds. Now you'll start out slowly, but we want to get that 20 seconds to 60 seconds. It's not as easy as it sounds, but you can do it. Some of us may be able to run uphill a mile, whatever, in 20 seconds. I'm exaggerating, of course. Where others of us may be able to just push the wheelchair fast from one end of the hall to the other. Are you with me? So whatever your maximum is, that's what we're looking for. So you start out about 20 seconds, and then your goal is to get to 60 seconds, and then you have a recovery phase. So in fact, most of you are able to do something right now? Let's stand up and let's just do something. And I am going to give you a little insight into that. Let's say jog in place. Now, don't follow me. Go to what you can do and what you feel comfortable with doing. We're simply going to jog in place. Lift your legs as high as you can, as fast as you can, for 20 seconds. And I need a timer. Okay, so this is the timer. Set the alarm for 20 seconds. Okay, go. Let me reset it because I had it silenced for this program. Let me just reset it. Okay, whenever it says you hear this phone, we're going to start. And we're just going to be jogging, whatever you can do, throw your arms up, whatever you do, for 20 seconds to your maximum ability. Set the alarm for 20 seconds.
20 seconds, counting down.
Faster, if you can. Faster, 20 seconds. It's only 20 seconds. You can do it. Come on, it's just 20 seconds. Don't slow down. Pick up the speed. Keep going. 2, 1, stop. Okay, but don't stop fully. Just walk in place. The alarm went off. Just walk where you are because you don't want your heart just to stop. So walk to the end. You should be puffing and panting. Keep moving. Okay, come back to your seat and just kind of come work your way back to your seat. Catch your breath. Stand up for the next minute here and just keep. So you do this for about a minute. And I did push it. I'm out of breath. I want you to just get the idea. Keep the blood circulating. Let your heart rate come down. And then you do that for a minute. So you set your timer again for a minute. We're not going to do it, but you're going to do that again after about a minute or whenever you catch your breath, okay? All right, work your way back to your chair and just stand up. Just stand up. So you're going to do this, rest, and then you're going to do that again. Does that make sense? All right. Okay, you can have a seat. Now, the idea is for burst training, What you're going to do that intense exercise. It's periods of 100% intensity exercise. Now we just did it right here. If you like to run, you could run as fast as you can, as far as you can, but whatever it is, whatever that exercise is. But you want to rest for a minute. You want to start out by doing it 5 times, 5 cycles. Okay? The goal is to get up to about 10 cycles. So that will take you, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a minute for 20 seconds. Just so, let's call it 2 minutes. And then you rest for a minute. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's call it 10 minutes. All right? Because by the time you catch up, some of you may take a minute and a half to recover, or you exercise for 25 or 30 seconds instead of just 20 seconds. So that's about 10 minutes. And you have really done a lot. That fat burning from intensity exercise will burn anywhere from 36 to 48 hours after the exercise. Powerful, powerful. Making sense? All right. Now, not everybody can do this, and I'm just, hopefully everybody's okay. And when you're just getting started, you may want to just do it for like 3 days per week. Maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever is good, whatever schedule works for you. And you want to work your way up to 6 days a week. You never want to do it 7 days a week. Our body needs time to rest. You know, this whole thing of creation and 6 days and 1 day resting is far deeper than we even can begin to imagine. But the exercise physiologists tell us that your body, you'll do more harm to your body, or let me rephrase it, you'll get more benefit from your body resting at least 1 day a week. Nothing to do with religion or anything of that nature. But God designed us that way. The body needs that time to rest. Isn't that interesting? And you can use this as an entering wedge into the conversation. You're working with somebody with diabetes. You see how the Lord opens doors? You will have multiple opportunities to transition from the physical to the spiritual. Somebody ought to say, praise the Lord. And we have evidence to show that from the world.
And there's even a name for it.
What's the name?
Circumception rhythm.
The what?
Circumception rhythm.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Everybody caught their breath back now? Still puffing and panting? If you're not puffing and panting, that's great. Take it from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. All right? And just keep working it up. That's great. All right, I love it. So the high-intensity training, the burst training causes fat to be burned after exercise. Oh, here it is, right here. For 36 to 48 hours. Muscle building and not muscle wasting, increased sensitivity to insulin, which means more burning of the sugar, which is the objective of what we were trying to accomplish. One of the objectives. All right, let's see here. I have 2 more minutes. All right, we're all good here. I see. All right. So, you're going to have, you see the increase, here's many of the benefits. Increased lean muscle mass, cardiovascular health, human growth hormone, energy, and you'll have less of that inflammation that we talked about earlier. All right. Is this making sense to everybody? Now, let's be honest with yourselves. If you were to sit down and just kind of study through this and learn about this, do you think you could share that with somebody? Absolutely. We can all become health evangelists. Medical missionaries is another term. It may seem frightening. How can I be a medical missionary? I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. But that's why I like the word lifestyle. Lifestyle makes it a lot easier for everybody to fit into it. And I'm going to encourage you, don't forget, hit that QR code. My desire is, I'm going to be honest with you here, I would like every one of you in here to do this online course. This online course by Light can be done in a month, but it probably takes most people about 3 months. You have 1 year to complete it. Most people that start this course don't finish it, typically, or any online course. What we have done and what I'll do with you is I will provide with you, you can become members of our coaching classes, where we help follow up with you. I will give you 3 months free to work with me, and I'll help motivate you, hold you accountable, provide opportunities for you to minister. up to 3 months. We'll start probably after General Conference and probably after ASI, because we're going to be traveling, going to these places. But anybody that signs up today, not only will get a discount on the course. I have nothing to do with the price of the course. It's by Light, which is an official organization of the General Conference. They've approved it, and then you'll have a 10% discount. Plus, you will have 3 months free coaching. If you'd like to become a member, then there's an added expense for that. But you should be on your way to being held accountable and having all the support you need. And a portion of the funds, this is a portion of the funds will go to Brother Trotter so that he can continue this ministry and help meet some of the expenses. Does that sound fair, everybody? Okay, so and don't think of it just selfishly, what can I gain out of it? Think of it more, if you have this program and this course, you can take this to your home, to your church, to your community, and you can utilize it in your own environment. You can help somebody. I'm just talking about diabetes today, but we have every disease lifestyle disease that you can look at, plus how to do a health expo, how Spirit of Prophecy, how to do Bible studies, Daniel and Revelation, things that will really stimulate and change your personal experience and your walk with the Lord. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I have a lot more to share, but in all fairness to the time here, I just want to take a moment. If anybody has any questions or any comments you'd like to make, feel free to do that now. If not, what I'd like you to do is everybody just take their phone and just do your exit. Just go ahead and stand up and click the QR code now so that you can have access. If you don't mind, feel free to do that now. All right, so we're going to dismiss. If you have a question, go ahead.
I have a comment. God designed our bodies to stay in a state of stress for 20 minutes. And it's interesting that people have finally figured out that the hormetic stress happens within that first 20 minutes, because within 20 minutes we should be able to optimize our response to life, whether it is physical, mental, or spiritual. The chronic stress happens when we don't know what to do in that 20 minutes.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Thank you for sharing. All right, so go ahead, take the next minute that we have. Just go ahead and... Where I live personally, where are we? Appleton. I live an hour from here in Dayton. Dayton. Okay. Now this is all online, so it's not on site. Okay, so anybody doesn't know how to do the QR code, just ask for help, and we can get.
Just to connect and get on your list. Is that what that is? Or is
you will get the gift. You will learn about the health evangelism training. I provide all. Once you click that, you get all the information through there. Now, if you're interested in diabetes specifically, I do have a diabetes program separate from that, which has the same policy that we just talked about.
Are you the light that is connected to Wildwood?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. That is correct. The question was, is this the light? This is the light that developed out of Wildwood Lifestyle Center. Their head office is on the campus of Wildwood.
Right.